24 adalah cubaan bunuh diri. Dan daripada jumlah tersebut, majoriti adalah kaum lelaki, 51 kes. Dan lebih 94% mangsa adalah yang berumur lebih daripada 18 tahun.
Greater resources must be put into combating child sexual abuse as society struggles to protect children and other vulnerable groups, addressing the crisis of care and human values. The Ministry of Welfare and Community Wellbeing, Women, Family and Childhood Development will continue to provide awareness on pedophilia, especially to its parents.
Pedophiles as well as sexual abuse, sexual crimes against women, against children. These are areas that are our focus under our ministry, be it under Jabatan Wanita dan Keluarga Sarawak or be it under Majlis Pembangunan Sosial or under Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat. Each has its own role.
Based on the statistic, there are 260 sexual crime cases reported towards children in the state. Therefore, parents, family members and educators has to play their role to prevent such matter to happen towards children.
The body of an excavated driver who was buried under huge boulders at Bau Quarry has been recovered less than 24 hours after the accident. The search and rescue operations, led by Bau and Fire Rescue Department Bomba Chief Tawang Lingam, was concluded at noon after successfully retrieving the body at about 12:23 p.m. today.
The victim, Anthony Khanna, 49 years old, was pronounced dead by the paramedics shortly after he was freed from the rock's debris. Tawang pointed out that the deceased body has been handed over to the police and has been transferred to the Bau Hospital's medical mortuary for further action. Last Sunday, the quarry's operating company conducted a bombing activity which affected several rock structures at the site. Anthony was conducting leveling works at the same site yesterday afternoon when a 20-meter boulder crashed on him and heavy machinery. Other agencies involved in the rescue operations are the Police Force, Sarawak Geoscience and Mineral Department, Workers' Health and Safety Department, Land and Survey Department, and several quarry staffs.
Rejection hits. However, Sarawak Disaster Management Committee (SDMC) today stand by its principles in response to a recent complaint by an individual claiming that all 4 of his applications to enter Sarawak were denied. The committee noted that the individual's applications were rejected after failing to submit the necessary documents to support his applications. Thus, it regrets that the individual has deliberately misconstrued his story to tarnish SDMC's image and misled the public that his applications were rejected wrongly.
Based on an in-depth intern investigation on the matter, it was found that the individual attached and submitted the same RTK antigen result with his 4 applications. Current entry stipulation requires the use of RT-PCR test results to be attached within 72 hours of travel. The committee also said that they have his full personal details and his voice admissions to the mistakes during the investigations. SDMC also advised the public who wishes to enter Sarawak to comply with the conditions as stipulated in the SOP.
Apparently, latching a padlock on the Satok Suspension Bridge is not an offence, nor is it deemed as vandalism. This was rectified by Assistant Minister in the Chief Minister's Office for Islamic Affairs and Kuching North City Commission DBKU, Dr. Abdul Rahman Junaidi. However, he discouraged the practice, saying it is not a culture that should be inculcated within our society.
It's not a vandalism, I can say. It's no harm. It's not against the law. I think they can do it. They can do it. No problem on a personal basis. And you can see this kind of scenario is happening in the other part of the world, especially in ASEAN countries. So when it happened at our Jembatan Satok, to me, it's a normal thing. The only issue now is basically something is a new phenomena to this, and this bridge is very iconic. So some people may become worried that if there's too many padlock there, it may spoil the beauty of the bridge. It couldn't be a culture in Kuching where people, a couple can put. You want to put padlock, we must go to Satok Bridge. I think it's not the culture that we want to inculcate among our society lah.
Currently, the bridge is still under the purview of the Works Department JKR. Hence, the Kuching North City Commission or DBKU are not able to structure the do's and don'ts when using the bridge.
Because the bridge is not yet surrendered under DBKU, but soon it will be officially surrendered to DBKU. But once it's under the jurisdiction of DBKU, then I will discuss with our mayor as well as our pengarah in our other senior officers on what will be the some sort of like SOPs ataupun guideline, or the do and the don'ts. We're going to make signage there on the public on what are the do and the don'ts that the public need to comply when they want to cross or walk around the bridge. For example, don't throw rubbish indiscriminately, don't put any additional item on the bridge, stuff like that. But we will discuss that in detail in future, and we will let the public know.
SPay Global is replacing its Sarawak Pay brand in favor of a new brand that will enhance its appeal and presence at the global stage. The changes, which include a new look and user interface, will be released in the next version update.
In a statement released today, this change is in line with the announcement made by the Chief Minister Datuk Patinggi Abang Johari Tun Openg during the launch of Sarawak Pay International Payments with Union Pay. This change comes as the local e-wallet grows its business and extend beyond payments of bills and retail transactions. For existing users and merchants, the balance and payment history will be available in the new update, and the methods of making payment and top-up would remain the same. The version 3.0 will be available in the coming weeks.
If he defeated the rebels, he would be given the international political sovereignty of this region.
I think Sadak was most important because it was such a symbolic event. The hauling of the cannon was epic in its nature.
Sabri were furious with the Brooks because the divide and rule is started by the Brooks actually.
Follow us on Sarawak's journey to gaining independence as a state of Malaysia in this two-part documentary.
But to no avail.
Starting from the chronicles of the White Rajah monarchy who founded the Kingdom of Sarawak in 1841 to wartime Sarawak in 1941 to becoming an entity of Malaysia in 1963.
In favor of it.
There was a general consensus that we really have to be independent.
Don't forget to watch Road to Nationhood, Sarawak Reclaimed, Part 1 and 2, Thursday, 16 September, 4 p.m. on TVS Channel 122 Astro and MyTV. Asajaya sebenarnya pernah dikenali sebagai nono pada masa lalu. Sektor ekonomi utama merupakan pertanian sehingga menjadikannya salah satu taman kekal pengeluaran makanan. Kawasan ini mempunyai lebih kurang 34,000 orang penduduk. 83% penduduknya merupakan kaum Melayu, manakala 9% kaum Iban dan selebihnya kaum Bidayuh, Cina dan lain-lain. Asajaya sememangnya mempunyai tarikan tersendiri seperti pesta ambal, iaitu sejenis makanan laut terkenal yang boleh menjadi produk ikon yang menarik orang luar untuk berkunjung ke daerah ini. Kerajaan Sarawak meluluskan peruntukan sebanyak 28 juta ringgit untuk membangunkan pasar baharu dan tebingan Kampung Tambirat sebagai pusat sehenti bagi orang ramai untuk mendapatkan barangan keperluan sambil beriadah.
Welcome back. As Malaysia's COVID-19 cumulative cases breaches 2 million today, its daily infections, however, witness a decline. With 15,669 new COVID-19 cases, the cumulative number now stands at 2,011,440. Selangor is back on top of the list with 2,632 cases, followed by Sarawak with 1,983 and Johor with 1,974.
In Sarawak, 9 new fatalities reported due to COVID-19, bringing the death toll to 639. At the same time, Kuching district reported the highest cases in the state with 561, followed by Bintulu 355 and Serian 257. Most of the cases reported in the state are in Category 1 and 2, 1 cases each in Category 3 and 4, and 4 cases in Category 5. Meanwhile, 2,514 patients had recovered from the virus today. 4 new clusters emerged today, where 2 are institution clusters and the other 2 are community clusters. They are the Laman Bongchin cluster, Jalan Upland cluster, and Kampong Segedup cluster in Kuching, and Junda Sai Merah cluster in Subis. 2 clusters have ended, dubbed the Jalan DBKU cluster and Jalan Tenaga cluster in Kuching. There are no cases reported there in the last 28 days. And there are now 139 active clusters, with 17 of them reported 18 new infections. Telang Usan district is now an orange zone as 23 COVID-19 infections reported there in the past 14 days. And for the record, the state now has 35 districts as red zone, 3 districts as orange zones, 2 districts as yellow zone, and no district for green zone.
The federal government is set to reduce the existing standard operating procedures from 180 to just 10 in the upcoming weeks. This as the country gradually transitions from the COVID-19 pandemic into the endemic phase.
Yang kata boleh buat, kita kurangkan dan pemudahkan hanya kepada 10 SOP. It will give me a bit of time. But I think it will be a lot easier for the public to understand by reducing 181 SOPs to 10.
Hishamuddin said the government aims to streamline and revise existing SOPs for it to be easily understood by the public, industry stakeholders, and enforcement agencies.
The Ministry of Health is targeting a hospital bed ratio of 2.08 bed to 1,000 residents by the end of the 12th Malaysia Plan. In achieving the set target, the ministry will continue the initiative to raise the number of beds through the construction of new hospitals and upgrading existing hospitals and facilities.
Tumpuan diberikan kepada kawasan di mana hospital sedia ada mempunyai kadar penggunaan katil yang tinggi. Faktor lain yang turut diambil kira ialah kepadatan penduduk, akses kepada perkhidmatan di hospital sedia ada, dan peruntukan kewangan kerajaan.
Kerry said the ministry also took the approach of optimizing the number of beds via daily treatment at major hospitals to reduce the need for patient beds and the implementations of hospital cluster program.
Fully vaccinated students of higher learning institutions or IPT will be allowed to return to campus in stages beginning October 15. Higher Education Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Noraini Ahmad said the process will be carried out in compliance with the SOPs of the higher education sector.
Noraini also said that only fully vaccinated academic and non-academic staff would be allowed on campus, and added that students would need a permission letter to return from their respective IPT and also from the police to travel interstate. Students in Sarawak, Sabah and Labuan should also take the RT-PCR test before returning to their campuses.
Keberadaan warga IPT yang telah lengkap divaksin akan membentuk komuniti sosial yang selamat serta mewujudkan persekitaran fasa 4 PPN di dalam kampus. Jadinya, SOP yang ketat perlu diamalkan bagi menguruskan pergerakan keluar dan masuk.
The decision to allow students to return to campus was made after taking into account the views of the National Security Council, Ministry of Health, IPT Management, representatives of private higher learning institutions IPTS, as well as IPT student unions and associations. The teaching and learning method for the IPT students would be conducted in a hybrid manner and in compliance with the SOP set by the MKN. Noraini also announced a 20% fee reduction to all Malaysian students at public universities for first semester of 2021-2022 academic session, which will benefit 555,340 students through an initiative worth 175 million ringgit.
The unemployment rate in Malaysia dropped 0.3% to 4.8% in the second quarter of 2021 compared to 5.1% recorded in the same period last year. This was said by Human Resources Minister Datuk Sri M. Saravanan in Parliament today. Nationwide, Labuan and Sabah recorded the highest unemployment rate with 8.8% and 8.7% respectively.
Unemployment rate of 5.3%, while 6 states recorded an unemployment rate of more than 4%, namely Kelantan, Kuala Lumpur and Terengganu. Meanwhile, Sarawak recorded an unemployment rate of 4.4% together with Perak and Selangor. 6 other states, namely Kedah, Penang, Johor, Melaka and Negeri Sembilan recorded unemployment rates of between 3.5% and 3.9%, which reflects that the economy was operating at the full employment level. The lowest unemployment rate is recorded in Putrajaya at 1.7%. This can be attributed to the high involvement of the residents in the area in the civil service. At the same time, 7 states, namely Sabah, Perak, Sarawak, Kedah, Johor, Negeri Sembilan and Putrajaya recorded a decline in the number of unemployed persons.
Sejak hidup kami dua indai merisak, tang indai mujur ngusai kaku nyentok kaku boleh tupi 4 segi. Apai udah lama ninggal ke kami, mayaku wagi pas sekolah primary. Diau bergulai ngok indai aku. Bad itu meh aku besai.
Hai semua, jangan lupa saksikan Inspirasi TVS segmen berita yang mengetengahkan laporan berkaitan rakyat, hiburan serta topik trending.
Inspirasi TVS dan saya Melissa Francis.
Saya Harry Francis.
Saya Dewi Liana Suriesta.
Dan saya Tony Yusof.
Saya Bob Yusof akan menemani anda.
Dan saya Mahmud Ali Bashar.
Dan saya Nana Shimi.
Dan saya Anding Indrawani.
Biasiswa khas bidang kedoktoran merupakan salah satu usaha kerajaan untuk melahirkan 200 doktor terlatih tempatan dalam tempoh 10 tahun. Ketua Menteri Sarawak Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Patinggi Abang Zohari Tun Openg mengakui bilangan doktor di Sarawak amat sedikit berbanding jumlah penduduk yang sedia ada. Sebanyak 100 juta ringgit telah diperuntukkan melalui biasiswa Yayasan Sarawak khusus untuk bidang kedoktoran. Pada tahun 2018, seramai 40 orang pelajar tahun pertama program perubatan UNIMAS telah menerima biasiswa ini. Setiap pelajar diperuntukkan RM500,000 bagi tempoh 5 tahun pengajian. Sejajar dengan usaha untuk memenuhi keperluan doktor di Sarawak, kerajaan negeri berharap agar penerima biasiswa ini dapat menyumbang kepakaran mereka setelah tamat tempoh pengajian nanti.
Thank you for staying with me. Now, how does one wash their hair, dine, or get some exercise in zero gravity? These routines are no longer strictly the domain of astronauts, as the first all-civilian spaceflight crew prepares to blast off on September 15 for a 3-day mission.
I'm going to go ahead and put some of this no-rinse shampoo, and then I go ahead and I rub it in a little bit, just like you would on Earth. Rub that in.
Dubbed Inspiration 4, the upcoming SpaceX launch will include billionaire entrepreneur Jared Isaacman, physician assistant Haley Arsenault, data engineer Chris Zambrowski, and geoscience professor Cyan Proctor. The crew members underwent extensive training modeled after the SpaceX mission trainings.
Every little thing that you take for granted on Earth when all your stuff stays put is a little bit more challenging in space. So you do learn, those things become second nature, but it does take a little bit of time to get used to.
As many people get excited about the prospect of a space tourism industry in the future, some are already putting down money to reserve their seat. But they are hardly the first space tourists this year. In July, Jeff Bezos, the world's richest person, soared 107 kilometers above the Texas desert aboard his company Blue Origin's New Shepard launch vehicle. Not far behind was British billionaire Richard Branson, who blasted into space on his Virgin Galactic rocket plane.
If we're going to be a spacefaring civilization, which I think we certainly all want us to be, then this is the next natural step, is to start seeing private citizens doing more of this kind of thing. So it is a very exciting time, and I would say, that to those folks that are coming up soon, the Inspiration 4 team, just really wishing them well.
Now wrapping up the half hour, a new animal clinic has opened in the occupied West Bank, part of a growing trend among Palestinians to raise and pamper pets.
Veterinarian Ahmed Al-Amad's Royal Care Vet Clinic in the city of Nablus is one of the few facilities in the Palestinian territories offering grooming services for cats, dogs and other animals and boarding while their owners travel.
طبعا هذا مستشفى بيطري مجهز كامل تجهيزاته الخاص للقطط والكلاب موجود في نابلس. طبعا هذا طلعت فكرة المشروع هذا والمستشفى البيطري نظرا للحاجة لعمل فحوصات متقدمة للحيوانات للوصول للتشخيص الصحيح وتقديم العلاجات اللازمة للحيوانات. طبعا تم عمل المشروع بناء على ازدياد الحاجة بالسوق لمثل هيك مشروع.
Pet ownership has become more common in the West Bank and Gaza Strip in recent years, where some Palestinian supermarkets now have designated sections for animal food and accessories. In the Gaza Strip, Palestinians have increasingly turned to domestic pets for comfort and frequent conflict between militants and Israeli forces, and owners walking dogs are now a common sight.
And that's all the time we have for Nightline. You can follow our latest news on our website at www.tvstv.my or follow us on our social media. Once again, I'm Douglas Elliott. Thank you and good night.
Ramainya yang ingkar PKP, banyak kita rugi ni tahu. Kena bayar denda, rugi. Kes naik, rugi. Masa, tenaga, rugi. Kita rugi, semua rugi. Patuh arahan. Kalau duduk rumah, lagi bagus. Bantu petugas barisan hadapan kita, okey? Ingat, amal 3W. Wash, wear, warn dan elak 3S. Tempat sesak, tempat sempit, sembang dekat-dekat. Jangan leka, terus waspada. Ingat, sama-sama kita jaga kita.
Budayakan norma baru. Bersama-sama kita putuskan rantaian COVID-19.
Dalam kebangkitan Ertuğrul,
Sen benim gözümde
kali ini Ertuğrul berhadapan dengan Kurdoglu.
sizin ona karşı
Claudius pula telah menyebabkan hubungan Thomas dan Ustadi Azam menjadi tegang.
Okçulardan oluşan 800 kişilik bu birlik
Rancangan Kesatria Templar tidak menjadi dan menyebabkan Isadora menerima padahnya.
şövalye isteyeceğim.
Apa pula rancangan Thomas ke atas puak kai kali ini?
Isadora'ya zehirli bıçağı bizzat benim verdiğimi söylerim.
Karanlık ve kirlenmiş ruhumun
Dan apakah tindakan Selcan setelah bertemu dengan Ibnu Arabi?
kirletmesini istemem.
Mari kita ketahui semuanya dalam Kebangkitan Ertuğrul. Isnin hingga Kamis, 10.30 malam, hanya di TVS saluran 122 Astro dan MyTV.
Assalamualaikum dan hai, anda kembali lagi bersama saya Torus di dalam rancangan Lagu Saya Suka. Seperti biasa, saya akan berkongsikan 4 buah lagu kepada anda semua. Tapi apa yang istimewa untuk episod kali ini ialah saya akan memainkan 2 buah lagu yang telah dikongsikan oleh penonton melalui Facebook dan IG TVS. Apa tunggu lagi? Jomlah kita dengarkan. Tapi lagu yang pertama adalah lagu pilihan saya sendiri, ya. Lagu dari Remember of Today, Pergi Hilang dan Lupakan. Jom kita dengar.